Greetings, I'm the one called Horror Show, and welcome to VG Therapy, the channel where I talk about games. Now, there's a few reasons as to why I'm doing this game for this review. One is that the Sonic video I did last month was a bit more intense than I anticipated, so I wanted something a bit simple. And the game I was going to play was a bit too meaty for me to be able to get it done in time. And also, I just wanted to play my NES, so screw it. Here's Power Blade. A game that I just thought just looked kinda neat, and so I wanted to do something with it.
Power Blade was released in 1990, 1991 and 1992 across the 3 regions, and really that's the most that I can find. I can find that it was made by Taito and that it was composed by Kinyo Yamashita, whose most popular works are Castlevania 1 and Mega Man X3, and I can also find that the Japanese version is styled after Mega Man rather than 80s action heroes, and also that a certain movie star's lawyers sent in some letters to Mike Winterbauer, the artist responsible for the box art, until he was able to prove that it wasn't what they thought.
But outside of one developer, one anecdote, and the name on the box, I can't really find too much else. So everything else will have to come from the game itself and the manual.
And the manual tells us that the game is set in 2191, and that the Earth is in a near paradise thanks to a supercomputer doing all sorts of stuff. And surprisingly, the computer doesn't go haywire, but instead alien terrorists shut it down, so it's up to Nova, master of the legendary Power Blade, to visit 6 locations to fight the robot masters before taking it to the supercomputer's castle and fight Dr. Wily. Why in 1990 would you be trying to copy Mega Man 1?
So yeah, the game has the structure of Mega Man 1, but the question is, does it play like Mega Man 1?
Not really, no. If I'm being honest, the parts that aren't Mega Man seem rather Castlevania, because while neither game has a boomerang as the main weapon, they both do have boomerang weapons. And like Castlevania, you can upgrade your main attack, but here there's a bit more for you to upgrade. You can upgrade the speed of the boomerang, allowing you to have multiple out at the same time, and there's another upgrade that increases the power of your boomerang, and you finally can also upgrade how far you throw them. Upon death, they all get knocked down a level or 2, I wasn't quite sure, but that's largely due to the fact that I didn't die that much, because unlike those 2 games, this is much easier. I didn't struggle against the Robot Masters, or the final boss, or any of the levels. Except for level 2, that is. Because this is your classic NES action platformer with tight jumps and enemies in awkward positions. Now this is the level where I became the most familiar with how everything worked, such as how throwing in all 8 directions works. Because trying to throw down forward on the ground is a bit fiddly and doesn't always work, so it's much easier to jump and throw. But also when you throw, you stop for a second, so it's much more efficient to short hop and throw down forward. Which not only makes things faster, but means that you don't need to spend much time fighting or respawning enemies if you want upgrades. But another thing that I learned was that these levels are a lot bigger than I had thought, because there's so many different pathways that you can take, and I'd learned this by running through the level and missing a few very tight jumps, so I got a game over. And the thing is that you need to find someone hidden in the level to get the key to the boss before heading to the boss. So not only was I surprised that you keep the key upon game over, but also that when I noticed a ladder I hadn't taken, it took me to where I was platforming through, but on the other side.
Now, is there anything to find in these levels? Is there any reason to explore? Well, yes and no.
There is the person holding a keycard that is needed to get to the boss room, which you do need to find, but there's also 2 other things for you to look out for. One being these items that refill your health when used, kind of like an energy tank, but here they're called, they're called energy tanks. God damn it. Well, look, there's something else for you to look for, and that is the metal suit upgrade, which I'm pretty sure increases your damage, but definitely lets you shoot through walls, and has its own health bar, which is separate to yours, and when depleted, the armor is destroyed.
Now there is one key difference between this game and Castlevania and Mega Man.
Which is this: you don't get knocked backwards when hit. You can keep going as if nothing happened, which is probably why I found this game to be rather easy, because I could just damage boost through a number of encounters if needed. However, there is something that this game offers from the start, and that's Expert Mode, which I played through a little bit because I wanted to see what it was like, and at first I could only notice that enemies from later stages now appear earlier, but I didn't notice much else, until this happened.
Expert Mode just adds knockback, because of course it does. It's like they know. And really, that's what this game feels like. It feels like a game made by people who know. And it feels like, you know what, this is kind of like a retro throwback that has been happening in the last couple of years. But the key difference is, this is for the NES. This actually came out on the NES. So it's made by people who were playing the games around them instead of the games that they grew up with. So that's why it's inspired by Mega Man 1, because someone might have liked Mega Man 1 and just took that as inspiration, rather than going, here are all the best bits from all these classic games. And yeah, it seems to mainly like Castlevania and Mega Man, you know, with the E-tanks, the love of ladders, the enemy health bar that's just for the boss, but it appears at the start of the level. Like all those things, it kind of tells you that, yeah, these people know what other games are like, what people like from these games, and are doing that with their own game. It just feels amazing. It's a very good game, if that's not clear. This is a very good NES action platformer that takes inspiration from other very good NES action platformers. Unfortunately, it doesn't really do anything unique in of itself, but it's still a lot of fun. And I do recommend it if you like NES games. And as a result, this game gets a 3 out of 4. And with that, I've been Horror Show, and this was VG Therapy.